Hey, Steve Zook here. Welcome back to Pokesoo Channel. Hey, my theme for today is power, the power of simplicity. And, really the guitar ladder system can be broken down into technique development and ear training. Because it's like Joe Pass. I always quote Joe Pass because he, I took from him when I was young, but also he just had a nice way of keeping things simple. He used to say, simplify your thinking. There's a lot of truth to that. But I mean, it's kind of like if you have a computer that has no software, how would you expect it to be able to do a lot? It's the same thing with your playing and your brain. You need to have information, input, downloaded, so to speak. You have to have something to draw from. And so that's why it's so important to practice on things that will develop your ear and your understanding of the art and science and the components of music. That's why in the guitar ladder system, you learn about the 10 systems of improvisation in kind of almost a subliminal way, because all the cycles, you just naturally learn about things like smooth voice leading and whatnot. But I don't want to talk too much about that right now. I'm almost getting a little bored with talking about it, so and I'm sure you are as well. So I'm going to go back to the power of simplicity. I had this lick here, which was on a video I'm uploading right now, actually. And here's one of the things about practice that, if you practice, and this is what my system does too, is if you input the information to your brain in the right way, kind of in steps, it can figure the pieces of the puzzle out. And that applies not just to ear training, but also technique development. It kind of goes in steps. So with that lick that I just showed, a great variation on this, and see, when you practice the right way, when you're not even practicing, or you're just playing or you're recording or whatnot, you'll just have this outflow of creativity, and you'll have the technique to pull off the idea that's floating around your head, and it's incredible. So I mean, there's a little bit of work involved here, right? The disciplined practice yields the unconscious relief. A simpler way of saying that would be the disciplined practice allows you to play some great things, whether you're writing or recording. And the process of learning to be a composer is about sitting around and practicing individual ideas. Like I'm really into altered tunings on acoustic guitar, and some people recently emailed me and say, well, when I try to play with altered tunings, it doesn't work out, it doesn't sound good, I can't come up with any ideas. You seem to have a lot of ideas and whatnot. Well, that's because I sit around with a guitar and altered tunings and practice individual sections, individual ideas, phrases, chord connections, way to put things together. There's a little bit of work, a lot of work to being a great musician and an artist. And even if you just want to be an average musician, but you want to take it up a notch or two, you'll eventually end up being a great musician if you work on the right stuff, because it's all about how you program your head. But anyway, so in terms of technique development, the power of simplicity, take this idea, which I'm uploading video right now, and just double up on the first part. Okay? So as opposed to doing just, I'm trying to share with folks out there how to develop strong technique where you can end up doing some licks that will even impress yourself, as well as be able to express styles that you like and be able to hear your own musical thoughts on a deeper level. It's a sequence, it's a pattern. The way you practice has a huge effect on how much results you get or don't get, okay? So that was the first riff with the accent band. So now a logical extension of that would be just to double up on the first part. Again, don't let the simplicity of this fool you. You can get massive results if you do this. That's why, when I watch a basketball game or something, I'll get in an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of single note study. And then when I end up in the studio or I end up recording something or whatever, the ideas that I come up with, or even if I don't come up with them, you just relax and let go and play. They come through you, however you want to look at it. Those ideas are able to manifest because of the fact that I've done my practice, okay? And I personally love to practice. I mean, it's really important that you love the process. Guitar is the easiest thing to sit down and just mess around on, but it's one of the hardest instruments to practice. But if you get that disciplined practice, the quantum leaps that you take and the results that you achieve are really joyful, and you'll end up writing and playing on a much higher level. So that was the first idea, and then just double up. So go accent on the first note. If you want accent both those, like bam, bam. Maybe next time only do one. Okay, here's my A, by the way. Now I'm playing on concert pitch. And that time I accented both, right? Bam, bam. And you could mix up those two ideas. You could take the first idea that I'm uploading right now, and then come back. The main thing is do this clean. Don't slop through it. And I'm suggesting you do it with the hand. See how my fingers are not, you know, I don't have my fingers flared out. Even if it feels uncomfortable, if you do it this way, you're going to develop more technique. Doesn't mean you always have to play this way, but it's about approaching it in a way that develops more technique. Now I'll put the accent. Bam, bam. Now eventually you don't do that accent as hard. You just do it a little bit. And then eventually you don't do it at all. You just use it as a reference point in your mind for what I call phrase memory, and I think I invented that term. So anyway, so I'm trying to teach people how to practice to get massive results, but really the huge part, anybody can develop technique. If you really want to be a great musician and a great artist, if you want to wake up the composer within you, and anybody can do this, by the way, you have to practice the right material, and that's where the guitar ladder system is so powerful. And really, folks, it is an absolute steal for $199. I really should raise the price to $299 or $399 because it is so much information. It's a lot of work for me, and I'm always upgrading it too and coming up with new stuff. When you get a 3-year membership, so it's like taking private lessons from me for, you know, for 2 or 3 years, but it works. But anyway, so I'm going to stop this right here. So the first lick was, you can move it chromatically. Accent the first bam. Okay, then the variation on that was. And don't email me and tell me this is a boring exercise. I know it's not the most interesting exercise in the world. That's not the point. The point is, if you practice slow and clean, you're going to develop monster technique. That's what develops a technique. I mean, you might think doing this isn't doing anything. You're wrong. If you sit there and do this an hour a day, you are going to, one of these, you know, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, I can't tell you exactly how long, you'll be sitting there playing, and all of a sudden you'll just peel off some riff. You'll see your technique just blossoming because you've done the work, okay? It's really simple. I also do that similar technique with a riff like this. Then go to diminish. But let's get to that later, okay? So I'm going to stop right there. So, like I said, slow and clean, practice the accent, keep the fingers tucked in, play super slow, super clean. What it's really about, folks, is learning how to train your nervous system. And I've had this conversation with some great musicians like Artisher Farah, who's friends with John McLaughlin and stuff, and they've all agreed, you know, when you practice correctly, you learn to make the guitar an extension of your nervous system. It's heavy, you know. It's like, you know, it's almost like John McLaughlin said, he gets nervous if he doesn't have a guitar around because the guitar is an extension of his nervous system. So you learn to practice correctly, and playing guitar becomes an extension of your nervous system, and you'll end up with monster technique. Take care. If you're really serious, invest in the guitar ladder system. Take care.